Skawo. Skawo! Oh yeah, Mario time. Yeah. Let's go. Oh yeah, Mario time. Ha! Let's go. Oh yeah, Mario time. Huh. Let's go.